A story that could affect millions of New Yorkers thinking about their retirement. As part of the recently passed state budget, New York is about to join a growing list of states that offer a state-run retirement savings plan for private sector employees. The plan will be available to workers who don't have access to retirement plans, such as a 401k, through their employer. That's about 3.5 million New Yorkers, according to the AARP. The state measure, officially known as the Secure Choice Savings Program Act, was passed with bipartisan support and the endorsement of Governor Cuomo. The legislation is intended to address what some are calling a retirement crisis, a situation where millions of workers nationwide will reach retirement age without enough savings to get them through. Jack Ford got an opportunity to speak with State Assembly member Robert Rodriguez, one of the lawmakers who introduced the legislation in Albany. And he began by asking Rodriguez why he thinks such a program is needed.
Well, what we found is that most people, over 50%, don't have access to a workplace retirement savings program. And the studies, by and large, say if you have that, your likelihood to save is 15 times higher than if you were saving
that much higher
on your own. Absolutely. So if you're not saving and you don't have access to a savings plan from your workplace, you're really just trying to make ends meet and or find yourself relying on Social Security when you hit 65. And that's just not going to be enough to do something meaningful. So one of the issues that we try to address is how do we make a workplace savings plan more available? And I think what we settled on is seeing what was happening in 2015. A few states were engaging in introducing plans like this, beginning first with Oregon and California, and then later on with Illinois. We wanted to see how New York could make something like that available. And that's when we started.
I suspect some people, and you probably heard this, might have said, look, that's terrible that people are going to be left out there without anything, but why is it the government's job to essentially, in some ways, maybe bail out those who weren't deliberate enough to create their own savings pattern throughout the course of their lives? What's the answer to that?
I think that's an important point. Is like it's creating an option that's more available is hardly a bailout. It's helping to facilitate people being able to save, and the numbers don't lie, right? 50% of people don't have a workforce savings program. And this is despite, thousands of, financial advisors and folks who get paid to do this, but, they're incentivized by folks with large amounts of wealth that can be invested. Most people, and this particularly impacts minority communities, with 67% of Hispanics with no access to a workplace retirement program, 52% of African Americans, and as we mentioned earlier, half of just normal New Yorkers with no access to workplace savings. So, it's not for, a lack of tools, but really I think it's about making sure that people have the right kind of access that's easy. And we have so many small businesses that are just not sophisticated enough to have, major retirement plans for their employees. This kind of takes their hands, out of it and say, this is available, the state offers it, all I have to be responsible for is deducting a little bit from your paycheck if you choose to participate.
Let's talk about how it would actually work. But I want to start with having you explain what it isn't, all right? So if somebody's sitting here and watching this and listening to us talk, and if they're saying, whoa, does this mean that the state of New York is going to give money to people who didn't put away their own money to save and prepare for their retirement?
Correct. It's not. It's not. There's no matching component. This is really just a voluntary program for employers that can make available to their employees a savings program. Right. So they don't have to administer it. They don't manage the money. They're not liable. There's no accountability there, to the employer, other than making an option available for the employee, and the employee has the opportunity to opt out should they choose not to participate. And there's no, really, we've structured the program so that any administrative costs are covered by participants, in the fee. So there's no cost to the
taxpayers are not
to run the program. And, and really what this is creating another option for people to have access to savings.
People watching this say, wow, this sounds interesting. What's going to look like? And how would they participate in it?
So we have scheduled a 2-year rollout period where we can get the program up and running, and with an additional year, just should it be required to get set up. The employer will have to sign up to participate in the program. And then they would be responsible through their payroll system for deducting that and ensuring that the employee's deduction gets sent to that managed account. And then the employee would be responsible for setting the amount of their contribution if it's above the minimal level, and then of course choosing the kind of plan that they want, and there would be a small menu of choices based on how you want to invest the dollars that you're saving.
So last question for you, and I mentioned this in the introduction. This was essentially a bipartisan effort. We don't say that too often anymore when we're talking about legislation, or more precisely, legislative battles. What do you think it was about this issue that was able to garner that type of bipartisan support?
Well, we're really proud. We had almost over 82 sponsors, 20 Senate sponsors, both Republicans and Democrats. I think everyone recognizes that there is a savings crisis there, and we can identify that we don't want to be the ones at the end of 65 just looking at a Social Security check and saying, maybe I could have done more, or maybe I wish I would have had this option available, or I just didn't know back then about how important that was. And this is kind of an easy way to take some of that knowledge that's not always pervasive into various communities on financial literacy and just say, hey, it came through my employer. It's a good plan, it's administered, and all I have to do is say yes.
It's a great opportunity to point to government and say, here we are helping you. We're doing what needs to be done, and it's not costing you anything, and it can benefit you enormously down the road. Robert, thanks for spending some time and talking with us. We appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking with you again soon.
Likewise, thank you.
Be well.